receive 6 points, 4 points, and so on and so forth. In this round, the contestants have not been able to see or prepare for these questions whatsoever, so they'll have to think on their feet and come up with their best idea of what the best possible answer is. In the event that there is a tie by the end of the third round, there will be a bonus question to see who is crowned champion. Now that we've reviewed the rules, let's get right to the game and do some college crossfire. Starting off, number 5 Georgia comes to Austin this weekend to take on number 1 Texas in what is arguably the biggest game in all of college football this season. A lot of things, some more important than others, will need to happen in order for either team to win this game. Who comes out on top, and what are the team's keys to victory for whoever you think is the winner?
Well, personally, I mean, not to be biased, but I think the Horns are going to take the W in this one. But I think it is going to be a close game. But I think the keys to victory, though, are the Texas defense. It's going to be their first real test against a high-powered Georgia offense led by Carson Beck. I think so far this season, the offense has shown that no matter who they face, that they're going to score points. They've outscored opponents in the last 4 games, 176-26. I mean, that's just insane, regardless of who the quarterback is, Quinn or Arch. So I think the defense in the front 7, Anthony Hill, and guys in the secondary like Malika Muhammad will really have to step up and kind of show why Texas is in that number 1 spot right now.
Georgia does indeed know how to score. It will be hard to kind of, keep them from reaching the end zone throughout the whole game. Kendall?
Look, you saw what's happened with Tennessee. You saw what happens with Bama this year. Texas is number 1, but they can't just show up and be like, we're going to win, we're number 1. They kind of have to own up to it and prove it. I think looking at the win on Saturday, yes, defense played dominantly, but you also, like Jackson said, that the defense really hasn't been tested with a good offense like Georgia. But I'm also going to look at the comparison with Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn really needs to outplay Carson Beck because he's the overall better athlete. He needs to lead his team. He has the weapons. He has the capabilities to do so, and I just think another thing is showing up first drive, just taking it home.
Quinn did have a rocky start in the first quarter, especially those first 2 drives, so we'll see what happens. Perla?
I think Texas is also going to take it, and I feel like the key to the victory, I guess would say, is the running game for Texas, because we've seen that I feel like that's what Sark's going to focus on getting that run game, especially in the beginning of the game with getting Quinn back comfortable since his second game back this year, I guess, since he got injured. So I think that would be a key, and I feel like, but they can also, if they weren't able, let's say at the beginning, get a running game with Blue, and also I feel like Sark doing I'm forgetting Sark playing it off the play, making plays based on what's happening in the game, and I think Texas can handle a slow start and Georgia can't. So I think that would be a key play, and also it's a home game, and DKR is terrifying on a home game. Yeah.
DKR is one of the most intimidating, from an unbiased perspective. It's got to be one of the most intimidating atmospheres in all of college football. And I do think that running game definitely proved big in a neutral site against Oklahoma. It's definitely going to be a powerful asset that they'll need going into this game. With that being said, though, there are 2 major things that I think are the keys to Texas winning this game. Kendall, you hit on one of those things more than the other. Jackson, you said defense. I think that Quinn needs to come out and be sharp offensively, throw down the middle, not throw picks to get the game going. I do like you said about defense, Jackson. I do think that the defense, not only do they just need to play like they have been playing, but they can't give up about a 28-point score like Alabama did 2 weeks ago. They need to keep that defense consistent throughout all 4 quarters. Kendall, you will get the 3 on this, Jackson the 2, and Perla the 1. Great answers all around to start the night. Sticking with Texas football here, Quinn Ewers made his return under center in the team's 34-3 victory over Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. After a shaky first quarter, Ewers gradually settled into the game, throwing for a touchdown and also running for one. Heading into their biggest test of the season, how should Texas evaluate their quarterback position for the rest of their games on their schedule? Kendall?
I think Texas is just fine. Quinn was coming back after 2 games not playing. He was injured, and yes, he had a rocky first quarter, but he had the adversity to come back and have a dominant performance. They were able to get the win, and I just think having Arch as your backup, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be afraid of for Texas if Quinn goes down again. But I think looking at Quinn, he's healthy again. He has the motivation. He wants this. he's dropped out of the Heisman running a little bit, but I think he's eager to get that back and just show that he is a contender, and an injury is not going to set him back for that.
From what I got from that, it's kind of a keep your eyes on your own paper perspective. Don't let the media shine in on this. Nothing wrong with Arch right now being the backup, and Quinn is your guy. Just let him take the QB1 spot. Perla?
Yeah, I don't think there's much to evaluate. I think just trusting that Quinn is going to do what he does, and we saw it on Oklahoma, like Kendall mentioned. And I guess it's good and bad things that they have so much expectations off of him. But I think it's just normal that the rocky start that he had against Oklahoma, I think that's just normal coming back from an injury. And I think there's no evaluation there. He is the starting quarterback, and Arch has been, I feel like, just by not saying it precisely, but he has shown that he knows his position. He said he wants to be in Texas for 4 years. He wants to learn under Quinn. So I think it just shows that Quinn is just there, the main guy, and Arch knows that, I guess.
We've heard Arch Manning loud and clear say, I'm here. I'm okay being the backup. I want to develop, be old school here. And meanwhile, with Quinn, you can't hold him to that perfect perspective. The other best quarterbacks in college football, Carson Beck, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, they're going to have shaky starts to the games too. Just because you have a great backup doesn't mean you have to take your starter out right away if he's not doing well. Jackson?
I like what you mentioned about the shaky start thing. So Paul Finebaum, college football insider, on the SC Game Day thing they did leading up to the Red River game, asked Sark straight up, if Quinn has a rough start to start the game off, what is he going to do? And Sark said, I'm going to roll with my guy Quinn. Arch has been great in the 2.5 games that he played at the quarterback position, but Quinn had, like you mentioned, had been out the last 2 games, but really hadn't played football in over a month. So obviously having a shaky start, throwing a pick on the first drive of the game, that was expected, but really what you talked about, the battling back with the adversity, I think, is the key point. And Quinn, he's been their guy for the last 2 years. He's played in big games, playing against Washington, playing in Oklahoma last year, beating Alabama. He's been the guy consistently for Texas, so I don't even think it's a conversation to be had. I think Quinn's QB1 no matter what, but having Arch Manning isn't that bad of a backup option. I think debatably, not even debatably, the best backup in the country right now.
With the stages he's been put on, 3 Red River rivalries, of playoffs, a Big 12 championship, going to Bama, going to Michigan, he's won about 90% of those events I just said. He's your guy. What more does he have to prove besides maybe winning a national championship? Yet Arch hasn't even been on that stage yet either. Quinn is the guy. I do have to agree with that. Perla, I do like what you said the most with, all quarterbacks are going to have shaky starts, even the best ones. But just because Quinn has a famous backup doesn't mean you have to hold him to higher scrutiny, It doesn't mean he's going to be perfect. Jackson, I like what you said, too, how you touched on that. He's been the guy. He's proven himself in all those big events. You'll get the 2. Kendall, the 1. Great answers all around right there, though. As we head into our final question of the segment, the National League Championship Series is currently tied 1-1 as Game 3 is being played right now. The New York Mets stole a home game from the LA Dodgers on Monday, and now they're headed back to Citi Field where they have dominated all season long. Are the Mets now in the perfect position for their momentum to take over, or will Shohei and the Dodgers be too much to handle? In other words, it's early, but is this series over? Perla?
Okay. I think the Mets are in the best position to win for themselves, but we can also take out Ohtani and the Dodgers out of the question just because of the caliber of the team that they have with Freeman and Mookie and all of them on the top of that lineup is terrifying. So I would say that no. We've seen them come up in big positions. They've been doing it all postseason, and that's how they got into the postseason with a big win against Atlanta, and then the grand slam that they hit against the Brewers, and then the grand slam we also saw with the Dodgers. So I think, but it's just they kind of oppose each other in certain ways. The Dodgers have a kind of shaky starting pitcher rotation with the pitcher that they're pitching right now, it has a 10.1 ERA, and then the pitcher for the Mets has a 4.3 ERA. So I think they just and it's just they oppose each other, I guess. But I wouldn't say, I'll give the edge to Mets, I guess, but I wouldn't say it's over. If anything can happen in baseball.
Anything can happen. Funny how you said that Dodgers pitching rotation, they're doing great right now, but in a completely perfect world, it's not what we would see. We would probably see Clayton Kershaw pitching well, Shohei Ohtani able to pitch, and Tony Gonsolin would be in that rotation, but it's a completely different one right now, and they're still doing great. Jackson?
Yeah, I think Game 2 was an anomaly. It was a bullpen game for the Dodgers. I mean, when you look at it, the big three, Mookie, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei went 0 for 12 with 6 strikeouts. I mean, that's not always going to happen. I mean, in Game 1, Shohei went 2 for 4. So I think in terms of the series being over, I don't think it is at all. But I do think that Grimace magic is going to run out for the Mets. I think the Dodgers take care of business. They win this one in 5 or 6 games easily.
Yeah, I feel like the Dodgers have just been so dominant in a way every series that they kind of prove something new. They were able to score a bunch in the first series. Second series, the fielding was good. Kendall?
Yeah, I think the Dodgers definitely have this win coming. The Mets they got to win. Congrats, but you move on. There's still a lot of baseball left to be played. I think tonight, especially, we're going to get a Dodgers win. They're going to have the leg up. And I just think the Mets they're celebrating the win, but Dodgers are going to come back even harder from that. They're going to take that momentum and say, hey, we shouldn't have lost, and now they're going to overcome that. And having a guy like Shohei on the team and what we've seen them do throughout the whole season, look at the stats. The Dodgers are definitely the better team. That's why I think the Mets are so proud of this win, because it wasn't supposed to be like that.
Yeah, I will have to say, I do think that the Mets, their magic has gone on all season long, but I think that the Dodgers are just way too powerful. They have too many assets in their starting lineup. Even with all their best players down at the pitching rotation, their postseason pitching lineup is great. Kendall, I do like what you said right there. I'm going to give you the 3. Jackson, the 2, because you picked the Dodgers. Perla, I do think the Mets' magic is good. I think they're in a great position. They're doing the best they can. I just don't know how long it will stick out, but still a great answer. That's going to round it out for our first segment of the night. We've got plenty more to come, so don't go anywhere, because we're talking completely new topics when Crossfire returns in just a sec. Welcome back into College Crossfire. Overall, some great answers that have prepared us for this weekend's game against the Georgia Bulldogs. So before we shift gears, let's go over our scores. Kendall, you're leading it off with 7, and then right behind Kendall is Jackson with 6, and then Perla with 5. So it's super close and still anyone's game. Shifting gears now, the NBA season kicks off next week, which means it's time to start thinking about which squad will take home the Larry O'Brien Trophy. There are some returning squads this year that almost looked identical to last season, like the Celtics, and some new-look ones, like the Knicks. Which team do you have winning the NBA Finals this upcoming season right off the bat? Perla, begin this one for us.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics because they just have a full-on team. There's defense, there's coaching, there's just everything is there for that team. So I think they were going to be the ones to take this NBA 2025. Mostly because we've seen it. We've seen that before. Like since 2018, there hasn't been a team that has won back-to-back championships. But that's because they have lost to free agent. Like they lost great key players to free agents, and we didn't see that with the Celtics. We didn't see that with the Celtics this year. They had maybe in the center, I think there's some things that could be better, but they just overall they have a great team, and they look the same. They look the same as they did last year, and it's opposing. Maybe that's the only thing that's different from the other guys. So I think they might take the back-to-back championship this year.
The Boston Celtics, along with my Houston Rockets, those two teams are. I saw a graphic yesterday where it's like they are the least changed team from last season. They're practically just running with the same squad from last year, which worked. They won the finals and going at it again. Kendall?
Yeah, I think the Celtics are coming back definitely with a good team, but that's no fun to say. So I'm going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers. You know, if you look at the trio, you have George, Maxey, and Adid. They're a trio that will play together well, and it will just be a good overall matchup. And he's a 9-time All-American looking at George. He's a new signee. And then you have Maxey with the contract extension. I just think that if you want to look at the Sixers, you definitely can. They definitely have the weapons to do so.
That new trio will definitely be exciting to see. I think this is the most complete one that Embiid has ever had in his playing career with the Sixers. It'll be fun, very interesting to see how it turns out. Jackson?
Yeah, I'm going to go kind of on the flip side of things here. I don't think a team from the East is going to win the finals. I think the Sixers, yes, a complete roster. You look at the Celtics, they're running it back with the same squad, and I think the Knicks are going to be in the battle contention for that Eastern Conference final spot. Ultimately, I think it's going to be Boston and New York. But I'm going to go with the Nuggets. I think that Jokic, multiple-time MVP, you retain most of your pieces. You retain Aaron Gordon, you retain Jamal Murray. Still got Christian Brown off the bench. So I think that's the most complete squad in the league right now in terms of fluidity and just team chemistry overall. I mean, obviously there's other teams like the Celtics. I ultimately think if the Nuggets had made it to the finals, they would have beaten the Celtics in a 7-game series. I think the Timberwolves played some of their best basketball that we've ever seen out of them in that second round of the Western Conference Finals last year. So I got the Nuggets and Jokic.
You know, the Nuggets, they haven't done anything to make me think why they couldn't win a national championship. If anything, they've actually added more to it, especially that Russell Westbrook addition. I know he's not like the star on the team. I don't even think he's going to be starting, but they've got
microwave off the bench, you know.
some firepower off the bench right there, and I think it'll be definitely cool if we got to see him win a national not a national championship, in NBA Finals. Same thing for across other sports. But with that being said, I do think that they have a lot of firepower. You'll be getting the 3. I think they'll be meeting the Celtics in the finals. There's also nothing that proves why they shouldn't go back to that round. You'll be getting the 2 there. And then Perla, Kendall, I think the Sixers are a very good team. I don't think it's going to happen in their very first year with this new trio. Still going to be a very talented team to watch. Great answers all around. Like the Mets-Dodgers series we were just talking about, the WNBA Finals is also tied. As of now, the Liberty are winning 2-1 with the 4th game coming up pretty soon. Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart are just 2 of multiple players across both teams who have been dominant so far this postseason in all stat categories. Regardless of which team comes out on top in the series, who will win WNBA Finals MVP? I believe it is Kendall who starts it off, right? No, Jackson. Jackson, you started off.
Okay, I am going to choose Nafisa Collier for this. I think she's been a dominant performer. You know, she defensive player of the year. She has a higher rebounds per game than Brianna, and I just think she's a dominant force defensively, but she also scores a lot. So I just think even if they don't win the series, they are losing right now, but with her at playing defense like she is, I think it's a real test of what type of player she is.
Nafisa Collier been leading in so many stat categories so far. With that being said, we're going to hand this off to Jackson.
I'm going to disagree here. I'm going to go with Brianna Stewart of the Liberty. I mean, they obviously just took Game 3. They're winning the series now 2-1. I mean, having such a versatile scorer from all 3 levels, not only in the paint, but having a 3-point shot as well, having 30 points in Game 3, I think that dynamic scoring ability is ultimately what separates her to take home the Finals MVP. Give me Brianna Stewart easily, for sure.
I think the Liberty win the series for sure. I think it's with her dominance. You know, she'll be if they do win the series, she'll be a reason why they're able to bring home a championship to New York. Perla, finish it off.
I was gonna go with Brianna Stewart as well because we saw it on the first match. She didn't do too well, and she said that she couldn't wait to get that game over and go back to Sunday and just dominate. And she did. She had 7 steals that night, and then she's also leading with 22.2 points per game average per game, and she's the second leading in all of women's NBA postseason ever, like in all history. So I think she's definitely gonna take it. I mean, I think she scored like 21 points on her second game. So I think Brianna Stewart's definitely gonna take the MVP with New York.
You know, I like the improvement you mentioned. You know, she didn't play the best in her first couple games, but she's turned it around, and she's kind of playing with a narrative now where she's in the driver's seat for her team. They're about to, kind of take home a championship considering they're up 2-1, anything can happen. But with her in the driver's seat right now, she's definitely on pace to win it. With that being said, I will give it to you because you mentioned the improvement. I was looking for the improvement that she mentioned. Jackson, you also mentioned Brianna Stewart. You'll get the 2, and then Kendell, Nafisa Collier, super talented. I don't think they give a WNBA Finals MVP. I don't think they would do that to the losing team. But still, if they were to win, she would get it. Great answers all around. Yesterday, Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin mentioned in his press conference that veteran quarterback Russell Wilson is in consideration to start over Justin Fields against the Jets this coming Sunday. This move would obviously bench the quarterback who's been playing for them the past 6 games, who has brought the Steelers to a 4-2 record and threw for 145 yards this past weekend with no touchdowns nor interceptions. Is starting Wilson the right move for the Steelers, or should they just continue to stay the course and continue playing with Fields? Perla, start it off.
I don't see any good reason to start Wilson here, especially in week 6. I mean, maybe week 3, week 4, I guess we could see that, but he's an older, he's a veteran, and you have Fields, and you're 4-2 for a reason, and they have this kind of the same dynamics of playing. They tuck the ball in and then they run. That's how kind of like their strategies, but like Wilson is older, Fields is a little younger, so he doesn't have that. Wilson has that dynamic to kind of move around, and I just don't see any reason why you would have him. And also, it's just like you're creating that window for next year, because I'm sure they won't win this year. Compared, like, in their division, they have the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, I'm pretty sure they won't win against them. So I think you're just creating that window for next year, and also you have one of the best defensive players in the league right now, and he's ending his contract in the next year, like in 2025 season, TJ Watts. So I think, yeah, I don't see it.
It will be, like you mentioned, a lot of contracts ending or who will still be on the team in a few years. This is a very time concerning question that we're going over. Kendell?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Wilson should go in. Fields is doing his job. They have a winning record. There's nothing that he's doing completely wrong that it's like, oh, he needs to be benched. I think he is the younger guy. He has more athleticism than Wilson does, and Wilson's recovering from an injury all season. I don't know why you throw him in there going into Game 7, so I don't know why it's a question this week. I just think they're just trying to make Fields work harder in practice, honestly, because he hasn't had the competition to get any reps because Wilson's been hurt, but I definitely think the start will go to Fields.
Finish it off for us.
Yeah, I think it's absolute blasphemy that Russell Wilson even has a chance to start over Justin Fields. We're seeing him play some of his best ball ever. I mean, the turnovers were an issue for him back in Chicago, and so far this year, he's done a great job of taking care of the football. He's in the interception department. 5 passing touchdowns to just 1 interception on the season, and that dynamic rushing ability that he brings, though he sometimes does fumble the football, I mean, I think that elevated level of being able to be a playmaker. So I see my guy Colin whipping out the Justin Fields jersey right now. I mean, we're both Pittsburgh diehards, so I mean, it's really hard to bring in Russell Wilson. I mean, the Steelers are 4-2 with a dominant defense so far. So I mean, it's really hard to bench Justin Fields with the level that he's playing at right now in terms of the most mature we've seen Justin Fields be. So Justin Fields, I think, should stay the starter in Pittsburgh, no doubt.
I like how all y'all kind of played the theme of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Justin Fields, I don't think he's playing at a level where they're barely getting by. I mean, didn't they win 30-13 the other day?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So I do think that there's no reason to bench Fields. Kendell, I do like what you said the most about how Russell Wilson, he's an older quarterback. He's not coming in. There's no reason to put him in anytime soon. Let the young buck develop. Let him develop. And then you were very I love the energy there, how Fields stay the course. You really pushed on that stay the course narrative. I think there's no reason why Wilson should come in and change the whole narrative. 3, 2, 1 across the board. All great answers. We've got great takes going around right now. But our WNBA, our NFL, and our NBA topics are now out in the system on the table. That's going to wrap things up. And as we add up the scores, we got to get ready for our rapid fire round. Double the pressure, double the heat. That's going to wrap things up for the block. So when we come back, we got rapid fire. Welcome back into College Crossfire. There we go. Yes. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. We have a tight game right now. Jackson Vaerewyck leads with 13. Kendell leads with, right there with 12, and Perla right there with 11. So the whole score has kind of just flipped a little bit, but everyone is still a point away from each other. So tonight's win is still up for grabs as we begin Crossfire, or the rapid fire round. It's about to get hot. There we go. That's the reaction I needed. That's the reaction I've been looking for all semester so far. Double the points, double the pressure. Let's get into the first question. In Saturday's win over Oklahoma, on a play that was headed for a touchdown, Texas receiver Silas Bolden was the furthest from the end zone before hustling 37 yards to jump on the ball that Quintravion Wisner had fumbled, and he preserved the touchdown by getting us 6 points and hopping on it. Who in your lifetime of watching sports has had the best hustle play for his or her team? You might have to think a little bit about this one.
I've got one that I can rip right away. I think it's probably one of the most iconic moments in sports ever. The 2016 NBA Finals when LeBron James has the block and Iguodala and that iconic Mike Breen color. It's like, blocked by James. I think that I remember so into the math on it. It was so statistically improbable about how fast he went down on the floor, and Draymond Green was running by, and then Iggy throws up the layup, and James just swats it down. I think that when I think of hustle plays in sports, I think that's the first one that comes to mind for sure.
I remember watching that, and that was probably the best NBA Finals I've ever seen. Probably the epitome series of my NBA childhood.
I'm going to go with my MVP, Jose Altuve. He has been insane. He has been insane for the Astros ever since he got to the team. He's like a pillar of that organization. And we've been to the playoffs like so many times these past few years. Every time you see a stat chart of like who's leading in the postseason and in the past year, the Astros are always there. And I think Jose Altuve is a big reason why. I mean, he's just insane. I mean, he for a short guy, I mean, not short, but like he's 5'7", and he's doing insane things. And it's just like, not even just in the field, like what he's doing outside of the field is crazy. It's just like that clubhouse is not the same without Jose Altuve, so I'll definitely go with him.
Jose Altuve, definitely a cornerstone player for this 2010 through present franchise. He's the reason why we have I'm an Astros fan, so are you. He's the reason why the Astros have 2 rings in the past decade. Definitely will go down as probably one of the best Astros to ever play. I think he's up there ahead of Biggio. Kendell, you got a play for us?
Yeah, when you say hustle play, it makes me think of just an impactful play that's stuck with me my entire life. So I always bring it back to watching the New England Patriots growing up, and I'm going to bring it to winning in the last-second interception by Butler against the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. You know, Seahawks were about to win, take it away, and there was an interception. It was within the red zone, and they brought home the win, and the Patriots won the Super Bowl when no one thought they would. And that's just a play that's always stuck with me. You know, the image of him catching the interception, I'll always remember it.
Talk about being in the right place at the right moment. He was right there, and he's the reason why people ask, hey, Pete Carroll, why didn't you just run the ball? Why didn't you just get Marshawn Lynch?
Bad play calling.
Great answers for that first rapid-fire question as it gets hotter and hotter. This weekend's matchup against Georgia will be the first time Texas has played that team since the 2019 Sugar Bowl when they won 28-21. During pregame of this matchup, a meeting between Bevo 15 and Unger the 10th ended very quickly when the enormous Longhorn decided to charge at him. While Unger likely won't travel to DKR this weekend, as live mascots from all schools don't usually travel for away games, I would like to know which live mascot in college sports would you love to see Bevo meet and why?
Good question, Robbie.
I would say the LSU Tiger. I think down in Death Valley, they really have a cool mascot. It's a scary tiger. You know, Auburn has a tiger, Clemson has a tiger, but I just always think the LSU Tiger is definitely the most dominant force. It's just a beautiful mascot, I would say, but it is scary. And I think Bevo is the best mascot, but I don't know. It would be cool to see a tiger and a Longhorn meet.
Mike the Tiger.
Mike. His name is Mike.
That would be a crazy meetup. That would be a crazy meetup to see. There have to be a lot of, I don't know, the Silver Spurs do a great job of taking care of Bevo. I'm sure there's some people who take great care of Mike the Tiger, but I don't know. Do you invite a couple animal trainers in there just to even keep the two
I
separated?
think you would have to like sedate them a little bit, but it would work. It could happen.
It'd definitely be very cool.
Okay, I'm gonna go a different route. I feel like a peaceful, encounter between two mascots would be, especially in the farm, Texas. I would go with the Aggies. I'm not sure what his name is.
Reveille?
Yeah, her. I would say her. Like, I would bring them out. And, she's close. She's over here in College Station. She could come on. And I think it's just like, I feel like a dog and a longhorn. I feel like that's not much of, there's no threat there, I would think. They're all farm animals. I feel like that would be interesting to see it in the Texas A&M and Texas game.
Everyone's all bad blood between Aggies and Longhorns fans. But when you put two good-looking animals together, it kind of all ends right there.
In terms of live mascots, I mean, the only one that comes to mind is Billy the Goat for the Navy midshipman right here. But, I mean, other than that, though, I mean, maybe the Oregon Duck, like the actual mascot, not like a live mascot, but the actual mascot.
Do they have a live duck?
They don't have a live duck. I'm saying the actual mascot. That would be kind of funny, that interaction. But I'm gonna go Billy the Goat for Navy. I'm gonna Billy the Goat.
Okay, yeah. A little bit of patriotism right there. That would be very cool.
America.
Be very, very cool. The United States Grand Prix takes place this weekend right here in beautiful Austin. That's right. They're coming to our town. We've seen cool tracks designed for F1 around the world, including in Monaco and at the Las Vegas Strip. So, if you were an architectural engineer who was an expert on open wheel racing, where else in the state of Texas would you design a track and why? Be very specific here, so go beyond just picking any city.
It's just Texas.
Just Texas. I mean, there's a lot. Or for this, you can do your home state too. You can.
No, we can do Texas. It's cool. Are you from Texas?
Yeah.
Oh. I'll answer it. I'll just do Texas. Do you want to go first? You can. Okay. I'm just going to say San Antonio. I think the Riverwalk down there would be a beautiful atmosphere to have. There's a lot of things to see. There's a lot of things to do, and I think you would need a major city in Texas to do it. So being an out-of-stater, I think of Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio. So because of the Riverwalk, I'm going to go with San Antonio on this one.
You would have it kind of zip around the Alamo, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, that would
too.
be cool. That would be cool to see.
I would say, I was like, what's like a beautiful place in Texas, in my opinion, and the Woodlands comes up. Close to Houston, there's a lot of fans there, I'm sure, and just it's so beautiful. It's like the greenery, and I've seen so many like golf courses that have, you could watch that for when you're racing, or just like the lakes also as well. I feel like Woodlands is a good space, and it's very green, opposite of kart racing, so I think it's a nice contrast there with the Woodlands.
Definitely a lot of open space out there to kind of make room for a track.
I'm trying to think of maybe like some sort of more rural area in Dallas. I think it'd be really cool if you incorporated Buc-ee's somehow into the track, or whether like the pit stop is at Buc-ee's, or whether your fuel station's at Buc-ee. I feel like there's a lot of potential to be maybe explored in that realm. So I'm gonna like a rural like suburb in Dallas. That's what I'm gonna rip here.
Like getting F1 fans all around the world to really know this is Texas.
Oh, for sure. Beaver nuggets and barbecue sandwiches, for sure.
Maybe we have the Formula One cars kind of pull into the gas station a little bit too.
A little promo. Yeah, a little promo.
A little bit of a promo.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be some great answers all around, but there can only be one winner. So, as I total it up like we did, can we get a very, very long drum roll, please? And our winner tonight is Kendell Unger. Do we have time for FaceTime? Yes, we do. Take it away.
Yay, I finally got a win. I haven't won in a long time, but it was fun. Had some competition here. I really thought they got me on that last question, so I'll be excited to see if I won that.
Coming from out of state and taking home the in-state question. There we go. Thank you so much to all who helped out tonight. That's going to wrap things up for us here at TSTV. Also, thank you to all the contestants who came on, to you, Jackson, Kendell, Perla, the in-studio personnel, all those who came out to watch, and to our executive producer Tyler Moss, who puts in so much work to make this show come alive. Thank you so much. And to you, the audience, remember to tune into our other shows, 1 and 0 on Friday, to get you ready for that Georgia-Texas game, and College Press Box on Monday to wrap it up. I'm your host, Robert Gonsolin. Thanks for tuning in to College Crossfire, and have a good night.